Hello to all of you from around the world. I want to welcome you again to another fantastic edition of Soulivity Today, broadcasting live from our studio right here in the nation's capital, Washington, D.C., out on KMET 1490 AM radio in Southern California. Of course, you know me. My name is Brian Wesley Johnson, and we have an amazing show for you today. Back with us is one of our favorite people, Sheila Applegate, host of Consciously Awesome Living, airing 12 noon on Wednesday, which is today. There's going to be a new show today.
It
So
is.
hello to you, Sheila. What's going on, girl?
Good morning, Brian. I'm excited for today.
Yeah,
I
me
think we're going to have an
too.
awesome show.
Question for you. As a child, were you taught to believe in past lives?
This is interesting. I was not taught to believe in past lives. I grew up in a Protestant Lutheran church, so that wasn't part of the dogma. But I have this memory of when I was a young kid, and I can put myself right back there. I was sitting on the couch. We were looking out our window at the
Mhm.
neighbor's house, and my mom said, Mrs. Hanford is really nice to the mice in her garage because she believes in this thing called reincarnation, and she thinks that one of the mice is her dead uncle. And I was like, and I remember thinking, all right, I don't know if her uncle is a mouse, but that makes a lot of sense to me, and I was pretty young. So I think naturally, once I heard the concept, it just sort of made sense. And I didn't think about it too much until I studied metaphysics later. And then
Mhm,
when I
mhm.
had kids, of course, I did make it normal for
Right.
them. And I remember Sarah was about 4 or 5 years old, and we were driving, and we had run into someone who had diabetes and had lost
Mhm.
her limbs. And she says, Mommy, will Aunt Rita have new legs when she comes back? And I said, Probably. And then she goes, Mommy, did you know some people don't believe that in past lives? And I said, Yeah, I do know that, Sarah. And she says, But that makes no sense. They've all had them. So we've come a long way.
Absolutely, absolutely. I think my experience kind of mirrors yours because, like, the early part of my childhood too was like very Protestant, where you got one life, right? Yeah, that's it,
Mhm.
right? And then later on, I think what really changed my view around this was my second set of parents, my dad and his when he remarried, they were all into New Age philosophy and as well as Eastern philosophies,
Mhm.
and it was just felt good. It just felt right. We had gone through some
Right.
past life regression work when I was a kid as well, and I was like, wow, this is really cool. And so the rest is history. So I'm glad we're both past live believers, you know.
But you know what? Even with that, I do say you don't have to believe in past lives
That's
because,
true.
like, I don't
Very
feel
true.
like everyone needs to because I feel like we get everything we need in this lifetime. So you could
A-
still, in my opinion, not believe in them and experience
Absolutely.
a very full and spiritual life.
Right. And then the
And
next life you can
yeah.
come and believe it in that one. See how that
Sometimes
works? See
when
how
you're
that works?
living, like, just experience kind of makes you think, I can't explain it any other way, right? So
Absolutely. Well, as
that's
you
funny.
know, as I said earlier, everybody, this is an amazing show, and as you guessed it, we're asking the question today: do you believe in past lives? And now just to kind of like let people know about this, the concept of past lives refers to the belief that a person's soul or spirit has lived previous lives before their current one. Now, according to this belief, a person's current life is not their first existence, but rather a continuation of their soul's journey through multiple carnations. And this concept isn't new. As we said earlier, this has been around for thousands of years. It has been part of certain spiritual and religious traditions, such as Hinduism or Buddhism. Now, to make this discussion even more special, we have a phenomenal guest. But let's learn a little bit more about her. Vibecke Garnaas is a New Earth strategist, podcast producer, host, and a channel for high frequency energies, Zaras, and the Order of Seven. And she supports heart centered people on a mission to create sustainable growth in their lives. Now, since childhood, Vibecke has had contact with energies from different dimensions. Her spirit guide has been a strong influence in reawakening her to discover the ability to channel so that she can share wisdom, insight, and knowledge with others. Now, in 2014, her book, Awaken to the Power of the Universe, was published. This book contains excerpts from channeling sessions with torchbearers over a period of a year. Now, she's also the producer and host of the Spiritual Quest podcast and live stream. Following the guidance of Spirit, she has produced books, articles, and has been featured on TV shows including The Sixth Sense and the popular Norwegian reality show, The Farm. She says, "I believe the only way to live a fulfilling life is to be true to ourselves. Only then can we fulfill our soul's mission and be channels of love. My spiritual quest has been one of growth and expansion. It is my hope." And with that, we're going to welcome Vibecke to Soulivity today. Hey, Vibecke.
Hello, Brian and Sheila, and thank you so much for having me back.
Oh,
Good
man,
morning.
this is fantastic. I have been waiting for this conversation for like weeks now.
Mhm.
This is like one of my favorite conversations in the whole wide world, talking about like past lives. You know, I won't say that W word, Sheila. I promise I won't say it today.
Thank you.
It's woo. In
That made
case
me
you-
curious.
I know,
it's
right?
woo. It's woo, everybody. In case you didn't know, we don't say that word anymore, like woo woo stuff. We don't do that. It's
Because
mainstream
it's all
stuff now to
normal.
us.
Yeah.
It's right. It's all normal to us. So, Vibecke, listen. Of course, you know I'm a fan, and being a fan, you know, watching your podcast, being part of your podcast, and you putting forth this energy to help us stretch into new realities of life and living and spirituality. One of those pieces is past lives, and you have a very unique story about that, and you have a very vivid collection of different past lives that you have gained over this lifetime itself. Can you share a little about like how did this progression of you discovering the different past lives that you've lived in this lifetime? I mean, I know it's a little word salad there, but can you kind of tell us a little bit more about that?
Yes, I would love to. Past lives. It has been my passion my whole life, believe it or
Mm,
not. I'm living
mm,
this
Mm.
life, but without me recollection of my past life, I wouldn't be my authentic self. So I understand that my path is unique in the way that I need to experience myself, if you wish, in this
mhm,
lifetime, to accept fully my soul and my beingness, and to grow as a human and expand as a soul. So it actually started, like I shared with you, Brian and Sheila, earlier, that I've had my spirit guide Zarius with me for as long as I can remember. But there was a transition, and it happened when I was 18 years old. And I had one experience going to a healer with my mother when I was a kid. And I had already had a vivid imagination, as my mother told me. And in school, I would write these essays about previous lives. These were stories that just unfolded within me, and I would channel them out and write them and deliver them as essays. And I remember my
wow.
teacher said, "Oh, listen to this one," and they read it in front of the class, and I was so feeling weird because they would all laugh at this, and I thought it was really profound. So, but it was fantasy to them, right? And I was like, "Don't laugh at this." It was like I was really protective of myself. I was like, "This is my truth." But bringing me back, I want to bring it back to that experience. So I did have a recollection and interested in that something was going on, and I was remembering things. And as an 18-year-old, you're growing up, you're wanting to be like everyone else. But
Yeah.
I was living by myself, and I remember watching a TV show, and they were talking about past lives. And I decided to ask my spirit guide because I hadn't been speaking to him for a while because I wanted to be like everyone else. And so I said,
Yeah.
okay, you listen up here.
Yeah.
Listen up here. I want to explore more. I want to really acknowledge what's going on. What am I remembering? And so I went to bed that night, and I woke up early in the morning, like 5 o'clock in the morning. And I was wide awake because I remember I wanted to go to the bathroom, but I didn't go to the bathroom because I was like, oh, I'm getting up in very soon. And so I
Mhm.
lay down, and this bright light unfolded by the window. And as I
Wow.
was looking into this light, I saw people, spirit, walking out of this light.
Ooh. Wow.
And this one older man, was wearing a
Mhm.
tuxedo. He was holding
Mhm.
his watch. He was passing me. He did not look at me. And I looked up at him, and I saw his sadness, and I felt his sadness. But I'm just saying, I was freaking out. I was 18. This was happening. So I was kind of in shock. And then this other energy come forward, and she was just beautiful. And she held me, and she touched my hand, and I felt a real deep love for this energy. And then this
Mm.
other energy stood in the light, and I looked at that energy, and I go, no, I don't want to see this. And so what happened? I
Mm.
didn't know this until later on when I was reading. I was, of course, interested in past lives. So I started to read the books of Brian Weiss, right? Many Lives,
Oh,
Many
Mhm.
Masters. Yeah, I
yeah.
know
Yeah.
many of
Mhm.
you have read
Ooh.
that. And something called me to start reading more about, the soul and the journey of the soul. And I ended
Mhm.
up discovering Dr. Michael Newton. And he had this wonderful practice. He would share his experiences, and he had developed this methodology that was called Life Between Lives hypnotherapy.
Mhm.
And I just knew
Mhm.
that I had to explore that path. And so going back to that moment of discovering and seeing these energies, I knew that there was more to that, just not being spirits visiting me, but there was more to it.
Mm.
And
Mhm.
so
Mhm.
Mhm.
going through that training, that's when everything was activated in my grown adult self. And so
Mhm.
the veil had already been, very thin for a long time,
Wow.
but that just blew me open. And I was
Wow.
not prepared, to be honest. I was not prepared. So if you can hear my voice shiver a little bit, it's just because everything is flushing back in my
Yeah.
body as I'm
Mhm.
sharing this.
Yeah.
And so this is real to me. I am
Mhm.
embodying those energies from that past life. And I'm here to heal and integrate, to share this story so that I can heal in my core being, so I can release these limitations that I put on myself, my beliefs, to fully empower myself. Because I believe
Mhm.
we all are empowered, but we have to trust that innate power, right?
Absolutely.
And so what
Mhm.
happened, I was guided by this beautiful man. It was a soul connection, a wonderful regressionist from Australia. And as we went through, we had to pick partners. We had already picked each other from we locked eyes. So we were like all going from day one. And so he took me back, and we had to go through a past life before you can go into the spirit world. The mythology says that you have to experience a past life to go through the death scene of that past life.
Right. Right.
I was not, expecting any of this. And he took me back, and I ended up in this past life that is very close to this life. We're talking World War II. I was born in 75. So there's a
Mm.
very, in a linear time, it's very short, right?
Right.
And so what happened was that the first regression I did, I just experienced the pain of being abused by my father, an alcoholic father,
Wow.
loving my mother to death. Like I loved her. That was the only true love that I felt at that moment.
Mhm. Mhm.
And my father passed away. I left my place and I went to a school where I met then the love of my life, which turned out
Wow.
to be a Jew. She was a Jewish
Wow.
girl, the sister
Wow.
of my best friend. And my best friend, I went to university with him. He was also a Jew. I was really good at
Wow.
athletics in that lifetime, so I got a
Mm.
Mhm.
scholarship or whatever you would call it. They wanted me there.
Mhm.
So, and I remember just having that great relationship with this friend and then standing up for him in a bar where I actually got into a fight, and that's how I brought him home, and I met his sister, a 4-year younger sister, and I just fell in love with
Mm.
her. And I could feel
Wow.
that and sense the love. This is so important. I was laying, being regressed back, feeling all the emotions of the most glorious love, like a
Wow.
connection
Mhm.
I cannot explain. I can't even put it into words. And taken from that point, he said, now we're going to go to the last day of your life. And I just wanted to stay there
Wow.
and be in love, right?
Mm.
And not only am I experiencing myself being a man, a strong masculine man, but I'm brought back to my last moments. And I find myself sitting in a small, small apartment, or it was just a room, so sink or whatever. And I had this heaviness come over me, like
Mhm.
really heaviness. And I felt dizzy, and I could see that I had a bottle of whiskey next to me, and I was drinking. And I smelled. All my senses were sharpened at that moment. It was like I was in that movie.
Mm.
And I
Mm.
remember feeling horrible. I was like, this is my pain, the pain in my heart, it was just undescribable. And I was guided through that death moment. So what happens next is what he asked me. And I said, well, I have my gun here. And he said, well, what happens? And I
Ooh.
could feel myself putting this gun in my mouth
Wow.
and pulling the
Ooh.
trigger.
Ooh.
And
Mm.
I could taste the metal or in the front of the gun. I could taste it. And I said, it's a Glock. I had no idea what a Glock is. And
Wow.
I pulled the trigger and I just, before I knew it, I didn't feel any pain. I had left
Mhm.
that body and I was hovering above. And I could see
Wow.
my miserable body. I would just want to say that because it was
Right.
horrible.
Right. Right.
Um, and I could see my first love in that life, my mother who had passed away during that life, standing in the corner, smiling at me and giving
Mm.
me peace at that moment. And so I went home, and do you know, on the path being brought into spirit, leaving that past life, I was feeling pulled. This energy of this most beautiful, beautiful girl came flying towards me. And it was that beautiful girl that I fell in love with in that lifetime.
Mm.
Wow.
Very cool.
And
Wow.
what she told me, she brought me home into spirit and he asked me, the regressionist, so who is this person in your life? And I just started to bawl. I cried so bad. It was my youngest daughter in this lifetime.
Mm. That's powerful. What a
And
Woo.
I just want to say one more thing to end that story. And that
Yeah.
was that he asked, so why is she in your lifetime? And she answered through me, I am in your life as your daughter to show you what unconditional love consist of.
Mm,
I'm going to
Mm,
teach you unconditional love.
mm.
that's so
And I
beautiful.
was brought back. But the
Wow.
headache and the migraine, I've never had a migraine in my whole life, Brian and Sheila. I never had a migraine. But after I pulled that trigger, I had a headache. Like I could
I
not. So we had to
imagine.
go through another. Yeah.
Yeah,
And
you know.
and Sheila, I'll let you go ahead and ask your question. I just wanted to say that to everyone who's kind of listening, it's like as you're listening to Vibecke talk about this past life, I don't know about you, but I'm actually could see it. I could actually feel it.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I definitely could. Yeah,
But Sheila,
very
yeah, go ahead.
vivid, Rebecca. Um, well, let's see. I was thinking we were going to break, so let me just take a moment to think about what my next question is.
Well, what we can do is we can take a quick pause and let all that beautiful story kind of sink in,
Yeah,
everyone.
let's do that. Let's just sit with
And
it for a
then
second.
and then we'll come back. And when we come back, we'll have more with Vibecke because I think we want to try to get to how does this all relate in our current life, because you said that your daughter was teaching you about unconditional love, which is so powerful. So I want to kind of maybe unpack that a little bit more. So everybody stay where you are, grab a cup of coffee or tea or whatever, and we'll be back in 2 minutes. Soulivity Today is brought to you by Assume control over your weight and broader health with the 80 Bites program by Physical Mind Institute.
For 50 years, we've been told, load up your plate with veggies. Load them up. Because all this spinach, look at it, all the spinach is only 100 calories. But avoid fat because a tiny sliver of butter is also 100 calories. So spinach is good, butter is bad, right? But not today. Now we're told, put butter on everything. Even in your coffee. Why? Because fat doesn't spike insulin as carbs do. And stretching the stomach with all those veggies unbalances our digestive hormones. So eat healthy today means fat, fasting, stomach control. Right here's the stomach. Forget calories. Hormones rule, and 80 Bites is the solution.
Are you ready to take that first step towards true, unwavering inner happiness? Are you like thousands of people who have everything they need, not want, but need, and still can't seem to find happiness and fulfillment in their lives? If so, the Steps to Happiness show is for you. On my show, you will learn about the principles and practices that lead to true inner happiness. Because guess what? It isn't found in our external environment, but within ourselves instead. Together with my guests, we will explore the latest physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual well-being practices. And together, we'll advise you on the actionable steps you can take towards a happier, more fulfilled, authentic life. So I invite you to join me each week on Soulivity TV on the Steps to Happiness show with me, Teresa Greco.
Hey, we're there. We're back here with more of Soulivity Today, and we're talking about all things with past lives with New Earth strategist and podcast host of Vibecke Garnaas. Vibecke, wow, what a powerful story you just shared with us. Man, I'm still resonating with it. But Sheila, I'm going to go to you for a question.
All right. First of all, Vibecke, thank you so much for sharing that. I know that it's very vulnerable to share something so personal with such a large audience. So I really appreciate that you were open to doing that with us because I think that it is so essential for people to hear. And one of the things that was you told it so beautifully that I was totally captivated, but one of the things that stands out for me was that even with, you experienced your own suicide and the intensity of it. And yes, you had a migraine, but even throughout that whole process, you were in a space of love as you explored the deep, dark past. And then when you realized that your daughter was the one that you were in love with in that lifetime, you were able to ask her what she wanted, and it was unconditional love. And I just wanted to reiterate that for our audience, because I think that sometimes karma and the stories of past lives keep us stuck in something that is just a cycle of pain and struggle and overcoming your own self. But for you, how has that impacted you? Because you took it from a different angle. And can you tell us about how that's impacted you and your daughter as you've moved through life?
I would love to. I mean, that is the true purpose for me for sharing this story is actually looking back at something so traumatic and where it's easy to judge myself for that past life.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I was a Nazi soldier. I was actually an officer, fell in love with a Jewish girl. I actually, and I think this is important for the rest of the story, if I might just share that,
Mm-hmm.
and that is that
Yeah.
when I met her and I could not become friends or stay friends as I was choosing to go into the military, I still loved them as my friends. I still had deep love, but I was taken. I was giving away my power because of my upbringing, because of the
Mm-hmm.
beliefs, because of the abuse of my father as I was growing up, not knowing, believing I'm not worthy and that I have to be strong and I have to be accepted. And as then I have to do
Mm-hmm.
what other strong men does, right? So it was a very masculine way of looking at things, but I'm in this lifetime now to embrace my feminine. Here to
Mm-hmm.
stand in love. And as I was meeting her, and I actually was the cause of them being caught during World War II.
Mm-hmm.
And I knew as I was too late, I remember having the soldiers coming in, and I decided at the very end, even though I knew it was too late, I went to their door. There was no words exchanged. I could see my friend in the eyes. I saw her, and I knew it was the last time I would see them. And that struck a chord with me. And from that, it spiraled down. So, knowing that
Mm-hmm.
and knowing that I fell in love with a Jewish girl, and then she being my daughter, this was during the training, right? So, told you that I did this
Mm-hmm.
through my
Right.
training. So when I came back from that training, my girl was about, I think she was around 4 or 5 years old. And so when I was in the car, when my husband picked me up, I told him about the story. And of course, he's very, well, he hasn't had his own experience, but he's very supportive. He's very
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
listening, intuitive. And so he allowed me to share this. And I told him what had happened and what my daughter had said. And so it was Saturday and I got into the living room and I sat next to her on the couch and I was like looking at her in the eyes and holding her and I said, "You're my little angel." And I was reflecting back,
Oh,
experiencing that love, right?
Mm-hmm.
And she
oh.
looks me straight in the eyes and she goes, "Mommy, I'm here to teach you about unconditional love." I'm not kidding. My
Wow.
husband fell off the couch.
God. Woo-hoo.
Word for word, what has been written or
Woo.
said in the past
Right.
life regression was she shared with me as soon as I got home.
That's so
And it
cool.
was just, and that I,
Mm.
to be honest, I ran to the computer. I sent an email to Dr. Michael Newton Institute. I was like, I have to share this story. This is amazing. And so for me, the love of that and knowing that she truly is here to teach me this. And I can choose now to go into that and feel the pain of it and go back and think, oh, I was a horrible person. Look what you did to all that. You were part of that. And I would only read stories of people who said they were kings and queens and whatever. And I was like, I'm not sharing. I'm not telling people that I was the bad one. And then again, I was
Right.
looking into this past life and I was experiencing that I wasn't the bad one. I was living and doing the best that I could with the resources that was available to me.
Right.
And
Right.
Mhm.
and that's the love that my daughter is teaching me today. That mommy, I love you no matter what and who or whatever people say or believe. We
Right.
we are loved. We are connected. I love you for who you are. And so I remember I want to share this too because this experience when I was triggered, remember we are all connected, right? And so
Right.
when I was going through this and reflecting on this, my daughter had a nightmare. I had not told her about this life. She had a nightmare and I ran up to her and she said, "Mommy, mommy, I was dreaming that I was in this room and I was falling to the ground. I couldn't breathe. And I hovered above and I looked down and everyone was lying on the floor. And there was this
Mm.
thing in the air. I was like, oh my Lord, that was
Right.
the gas.
Mhm.
And I had to sit there and listen to her, knowingly that I was on the other side. I was taking part in that.
Right.
And it just broke my heart. And I just sat there and I said, well, I'm not scared. I'm not scared. But we were so many. Why did they do that? So she put me to the test of
Mm,
the unconditional
Mm.
love, to
mm,
separate, to not judge, but to learn from that
mm.
past. And I told you this, Brian and Sheila, last time I was here. I said, my favorite quote is that on a soul's journey, we are all one. In spirit, we are all alike. And in knowing this, there is no discrimination. And I said, I cannot discriminate on myself.
Yep.
That's beautiful.
That's. Phew. I think as we would say in the Black community, I think we going to church today um,
I'll be
because
joining.
yeah. I mean, and we're talking about a new church. Um, because there's so much depth in what you just said, Rebecca.
Yeah.
Um, um, and again, Sheila, you said this earlier. Listen, no one out there needs to believe in. You don't
Mhm.
have to believe in past life regression and past lives and that kind of thing. But just listen to the story.
Right.
Just listen to the story that Vibecke has said and the connections that have been there from the story into her own life with her daughter in this life saying and validating what she was told and how that has impacted your life, Rebecca, today and moving forward. I mean, you are forever changed from this
Yes.
experience. Forever.
Mhm.
Forever, right? And forever empowered, forever changed in terms of how you look at other people who are just spiritual beings living a human experience, right? That this
Yes.
is ingrained and really anchored in you now. Um, listen, let's let that breathe a little bit too, because I know we're quote unquote going deep and heavy today, but it's important because I think these are tools that we need to explore, we need to talk about, and we need to bring forth so that all of us can experience the same thing in our own lives, where we really truly understand and feel and embody what love is with capital L, right? Which is unconditionally supportive, connected with spirit, and that is forevermore and is always available. So listen, we're going to take another break. But when we come back, Vibecke's going to be here. Sheila's going to be here. We're going to talk about more things about past lives in just a second. So we'll be back in a couple minutes. Soulivity Today is brought to you by Happy Travelers Tours and Old Vine Wine Tours. can find all of the Satana products at our Go shop at go.soulivity.com.
Have you ever asked the question, if I was to be anything, what would I be? Regardless of money, regardless of status, beyond popularity and fame. Living your passion, feeling your life has purpose. Soulivity is a space to nurture that which lives in all of us. A place where work can become play, and doing what we love creates the dreams of a lifetime.
Hey, we're back here with more of Soulivity today. We're talking about all things of past lives with New Earth strategist and podcast host Vibecke Garnaas. Of course, we're joined again by my very special friend Sheila Applegate. I'm loving the show. I wish we had a part two. Maybe we're going to create a part two of this because this is such a robust topic to talk about, because you get so much out of it, right? I mean, and there's literally hundreds or thousands of lives that we've all experienced, and that there's all these different pieces that we learn along the way that we can bring into this lifetime that maybe sometimes, we cover over a little bit. Vibecke, how, when you talk about past life regression with people and what you've learned, what is your advice to other people around, first, the process of actually going through a regression with someone, as well as what would be some tips that you would give that person around, as you're going through this and you come on the other side, you come back into this life, right? Because you're literally taking a journey. What are some of the tips that you give people in terms of how they how they can have that impact their lives positively?
That's a great question. And it's the most valid question, I think, for doing past lives, because it is all about integration of the lessons. I look at, we're on a journey, and we are all carrying luggage, if you wish. And within that, there's beliefs, and there's, whatever your past life is, you have experiences that are affecting you or can affect your life. Not everyone, like you said, there's not everyone who needs to go down that route. But for me, being so open and having that past life, I know coming into this life, I'm dedicating myself of creating love or supporting and co-creating a more compassionate and loving world. Would I do that if I did not have that other lifetime? Would I have focused my energy otherwise? I believe, this is my belief, that as you go through these and you open up, there's a reason for you to feel attracted or pulled towards past lives. And as you allow yourself to go through a past life and you come out on the other end, there is an intention. Intention is so powerful. We have an intention for going through this, right? And so what is your intention? So when you do this, is it just for fun? I would never do anything personally to go in the depth of this, because it really shake your core. It is painful. It is traumatic at times. It triggered pain in my physical body. But I know that when we talk about vibrations, where there is energy, there is life, right? So this is living within me. I have to address it. I have to allow myself to be channeled for that lesson or that wisdom, so that I can actually integrate it to understand myself better, so that I don't keep giving away my power, so I can be more authentic. And so for me, it's always looking at the intention for doing a past life. if it's
Mhm.
out of alignment, disease, whatever, and you can't find your answers in this lifetime through maybe normal therapy, or if there's something more that you feel you need to go even further or even deeper,
Mhm.
there's a reason for this being available,
Yeah.
because there's more of us and more people are
Right.
waking up to this knowledge now and
Yeah.
understanding that there is life where there's energy. And so
Yeah.
let us look at this energy. Where is it stuck? Is it in low vibration? Is it keeping us in depression, in pain, in fear, in trauma? Are we reliving this? Are we creating this reality? And for me, that was so powerful. That is why I call myself a New Earth strategist. But I said, I'm not going down that path. I will do everything in my power not to end up and go back to that World War II scenario and allow history
Mhm.
to repeat itself. No,
Right.
we're not doing that.
Right.
I'm not, you're not on
Right.
my watch. I'll do whatever I can in this lifetime. I have a soul mission. I'm sharing this, and I want to create a new earth where we all stand united. We all are living from the place of love,
Mhm.
and there's no
Mhm.
discrimination in that. There's mutual
Yeah.
Mhm.
respect for our journeys. And so
Right.
to me, it's always looking back, when I look back at my journey, where if I've helped other people go through this, it's like, okay, so what are the lessons? We have the intention. So what did we learn? What do we need to integrate in this lifetime? Because you need to embrace that new vibration that you carry within the intention of doing this,
Yes.
so that you can free yourself, take back your power,
Mm.
not to be one who gives away power to other governments or whatever, that you can think for yourself, you can feel and take care of who you are. Because in the core essence of who we are love. That I got that experience. So when people ask me, why do you do this? Well, there's only one solution. There's only one thing. I do it for love.
Yeah.
There is just love.
There is
Wow.
just
So when
love.
I got, yeah, I just want to say, so my 3
Wow.
lessons, I want to share that as an inspiration, was forgiveness of myself for what I did
Mhm.
in that
Mhm.
past life, forgiving me and forgiving others,
Mhm.
because I knew my path. I saw how I was treated, my environment, how I grew up, and I was taught to believe that I wasn't worthy. How many people don't experience that in this lifetime? Now, as we speak, not being worthy. It's
Mhm.
time that we shift this. And so forgiveness was the most important thing. And when I did that, I shifted in vibration. I said, well, I can really forgive myself. I can't blame myself, but I can go in, and I could go in and see, what are the lessons? What did I learn from that lifetime, so that I can do
Mm.
better in this one?
Mm.
And so
Mhm.
I found
Yeah.
that the core one was judgment.
Yeah.
I was judgmental. I was judgmental over people like me that channel high frequency energy. I was like, they're nuts. When I started, I'm not doing that. But spirit would have it other ways. But I was judgmental, and I was discriminating on other, because I was like, I'm not doing that. And I go, what is this? Where did this come from? And I could relate it back to that lifetime. I said, no. Okay, so what did I learn? And then the other important message was that don't give away your power.
Mm.
Don't give away your
Mhm.
power. It's
Wow.
dangerous to give away your power.
Wow. Whew. Well, I'm glad that you're sharing your power with us today.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank
Yeah, I mean, this is amazing. As you know, before we go to break and tell people a little bit more about where they can find you, as you were talking, these words came to me, that the reason why we go through any of these experiences either is to experience love itself, like just experiencing just love, or with love returning back to love, right?
Mhm.
So either with forgiveness,
you.
releasing judgment, releasing fear, releasing all that. That in of itself is a loving experience that brings us back to loving ourselves and everyone else, and being in that state. So thank you for being here.
Yes.
I'll ask the question. I was going to just say you're going to come back, but I'll be kind today. Would you come back and join us again?
I would love to, Brian. Of course, it would be my honor.
Yes. Yes. Really quickly, while we have you on, you can learn more about Vibecke Garnaas and even learning more about her podcast by visiting her website at vibeckegarnaas.com. There's 2 sites there. You can go to the US site for the site in English, and you can even sign up for her newsletter, receive a free gift. I won't tell you what that gift is, but you got to go there and sign up and watch the fantastic podcast shows that are there. I did a podcast with you a while back that was fantastic. I had such a good time with you. It was fantastic.
Me too. I loved it.
Listen, but thank you for being here. I can't wait till you come back again.
Thank you so much. And thank you, everyone, for allowing me to share this story.
Listen, everybody, we're going to take a really quick break and we'll be back with more of Soulivity Today. Hi there. This is Brian with Soulivity.com. I want to share some exciting news about our new Aspire Academy by Soulivity. Now, you probably want to know what the Aspire Academy by Soulivity is. Well, it exclusively connects you with people around the globe and who share the intense desire to improve themselves and create a better life for themselves today. There's classes, there's workshops, there's live events, and even more exclusively just for you. You see, I wanted you to have a safe space where you could grow, you can learn, and it would empower you in all aspects of your life, including your mind, your body, and your soul. So how do you get started? Well, it is so easy. First of all, the best part, joining Aspire Academy is absolutely free. Just click on the Join Now button, sign up, and begin your journey. As a special part of this invitation to you, there are some free courses that are available for you to try from our amazing roster of coaches and collaborators. It's our way of saying thank you for all of your support and being with us along our journey of expansion. I hope you enjoy the Aspire Academy by Soulivity today. Start the process. Learn more about your passion, your purpose, and how to live a higher quality life. And we're back with more of Soulivity Today. Sheila, let's get to our shameless plugs, which I love so much. You've got some really cool things going on. We talked about this amazing book that you and Zach are part of. Can you talk a little bit about that? And then this special event that's coming up, that's part of that.
Yeah. So the Energy Healers Oracle Tools for Total Transformation is available on Amazon or on my website, SheilaApplegate.com. This is a collaboration book of from master healers from around the world. Zach and I have a chapter in it introducing and talking about our fractal illumination technique, which helps you to activate your energy to harmonize with the changing energy of the world. So we are having a book signing in Auburn, New York at the amazing Cafe 108, one of my favorite places. So on Friday of this week, come stop by, Friday, September 29th, stop by from 11 to 2, have a chat, grab a book, grab some amazing food or a latte, and we'll see you there.
Woo, I love it. I love it. I love it. I just want to remind everybody that, listen, we are here to serve you, and that you can learn more about all the things that we're doing by, following us on social media. You can learn more about like our upcoming live events, our latest stories in soulivity.com, and a whole lot more. So please go to, follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, all the major platforms, but especially YouTube, because on YouTube, if you subscribe to our channel there, you'll get alerts when we're going live, where we're featuring beautiful people like Vibecke Garnaas and Sheila Applegate and all our other hosts and all our other fantastic guests. Sheila, thank you so much for being here and sharing this experience
Thank you,
with me today.
Brian.
Yeah,
Thanks.
the dynamic duo back together again. I just, it's all about a return to love, right? I mean, all of these experiences, all the things that we're telling people about is all about returning to love. I mean, I know that Marianne Williamson book was popular not only because of the title, but because of, the truth that all of us are going through this experience, and then we learn to just be in that state. So,
Yeah.
thank you for sharing your light and love as we go through this experience. Thank you to Vibecke Garnaas again for being here and sharing that experience with us. We've got even more great shows coming up for you, even this week, with some other special guests. So you want to make sure that you come back and join us or rewatch us on our podcast. So listen, we're here Monday through Fridays, 8 a.m. Eastern for our live broadcast, or you can listen to us on KMET 1490 AM radio at 8 a.m. Pacific time for all of you guys out on the West Coast. Thank you for being here, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye for now.
This work is subject to copyright owned by Affinity Global LLC. Any reproduction or republication of all or part of this is expressly prohibited unless Affinity Global LLC has explicitly granted its prior written consent. All other rights